screen if you'd like.
Okay.
So, can I share my screen?
Of course.
Yeah, I saw you had a party without me.
It was wonderful.
Uh, uh. So, how was it? Yes. Yeah, but you're a father, or you're like Father Abraham, a father of many nations.
Well, we're global, so that's the way it's supposed to be.
So like my progress so far is I try to fill the spreadsheet, but it's quite daunting per se because I've started working on the screens on the pages,
Mm-hmm.
but still requires some time to fill in like these headers. Like there are a lot of buttons and a lot of headings and forms.
Oh, but
So
why are you doing that manually? Why aren't you asking AI to go ahead and do it? You can't run
um
it through AI because it's an app.
yeah, it's an app. Adalo, the system is like closed. The AI cannot access its data per se. Cannot access it. Cannot do a scrapping. Cannot do like a web scrap of the entire application. I tried it and
Have you asked AI how to go ahead and do that? Have you asked um, Adalo or whatever the heck the name is, if it has a tool to go ahead and do that for users? In other words, for administrative users. Have you asked that question?
I haven't reached out to the Dalo team because they never even replied to the previous emails
Doesn't
that I've
matter.
sent. I've
So
been sending.
wait. So just because they didn't go ahead and apply to the previous email means that you never contact them again on customer support?
Mm.
Is that what that means?
Since the previous time I contacted them, I haven't
I,
done any communication. Yeah.
Victor, I understand that. Can you answer my question?
Yeah.
So you're never going to contact them again because they didn't respond right to what you asked previously. That's what you're saying.
Not per se.
Well, then the answer is right that you see it's your, you know, do you want to handle this as a worker or do you want to handle this as management and leadership? That's the question that you've got to ask yourself. Am I acting like a worker? Or am I acting like management and leadership? So when when there are ways to handle situations differently that might provide better results, you as management and leadership need to go ahead and do those things without being prompted to do those things. Is that wrong or right?
It's right, sir.
So that's one of the things that you've got to learn through the process of what we're doing. It's not only a question of doing the task, it's how you achieve the results. Isn't that what you're here for?
Most definitely.
So you could reach out to AI, you can reach out to the company itself, you can go into the community, knowledge base, and you can ask the question in those three areas, in those three to those three entities to see if you can get an answer that's satisfactory. And then if you still don't get the right answer that's satisfactory, does that mean that you give up? Not necessarily, because you should research, are there any AI agents or tools that can go ahead and scrape apps that are in development in order to accomplish X, Y, and Z, like build a detailed sitemap, including images, right? Links, buttons, blah, blah, blah. Do you see how differently I approach the problem?
Yes, yes, very differently.
Because my focus is getting the results. Okay, not giving up before I get the results, or doing it the hard way, the harder way before I get the results. I'm doing it through also research, which is the Pomoro system. You don't assume you know anything in the Pomoro system. You don't assume that there are no answers out there. You research to find the answers, but you've got to go ahead and analyze the information. You got to synthesize it. And then you've got to outline what are the things I need to do in order to achieve my objective. And you have different objectives depending on what you're doing in the process. Does that make sense?
It makes sense, Mr. Benjamin.
And
Hello.
I hear you.
Well,
I hear you. Are you able to go ahead and can you hear me or not? Can you hear me?
I can hear you clearly.
Okay. So
Yeah, I can hear you.
do you want to go ahead and take the few minutes to do it the way that I'm suggesting you do it?
Mm, I will most definitely do it that way going forward. I will do the research on how I can solve this issue of not manual, because I'm manually inputting everything. Like everything is manually done. So yeah, we should refine it. Yeah.
But you see, you have two apps to do this with. You have the existing Glide app, and you can do it on this app as well. In other words, you can use the Glide app as an example, right, that you can possibly even incorporate into this spreadsheet in order to give you the answers. Because the buttons and the URLs and blah, 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 oh, well, okay, they might change depending on whether you're using it, depending on where your spreadsheet is. So if your spreadsheet's tied to, yeah, it would be different if it was tied just to our remote server. But if it's tied to a server that's associated with
Hello?
it, yeah, you can't hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay. So anyway, outline the steps I just suggested, and then put those steps into your project management spreadsheet, and then follow the steps and see what happens. Okay. But besides the status of the links and the buttons and whatever, right? Do you have the pages laid out as they are in Glide? In other words, are the pages mirrored in Adalo that we had in Glide? Or are you just waiting until you get through the sitemap side of it before you start on even building the pages?
No, I've been balancing on both sides, because yeah, as much as you have to record, you also have to implement. You have to create the app. You have
I
to
would
create
hope
it.
so.
So yeah, so I've not been focusing on the spreadsheet alone.
So can you,
We-
the goal is, you've told me for the last couple of weeks that you were close to completing.
of course.
Okay. Uh,
So
okay, but
you can.
those things have, yeah, those are just, it's really a question of where you have, okay. Do you have in your spreadsheet the ability to see level 1, 2, 3, 4 pages? You remember we went over that, right?
Yeah, in the previous meeting, yeah, you have level one, just as you suggested, level two. So all of them have included, also added the like a column for dates and the status of each level and a note before the buttons, just for to acquire as much details as possible. Yeah.
Can you see if Adalo has a way to import other HTML files or files from another app, so it doesn't have to be built from the ground up?
HTML.
Whatever the case may be, right? If it's HTML, it's HTML. If it's,
XML.
if it's doing it through Python, right, then it's Python. Okay. But the thing is, can you check and see if there's a way to basically migrate an app into Adala, right? So it just has to be cleaned up as opposed to built from the ground up.
I'll have to do research on that.
You should do research on everything that we talk about, Victor. Not, I don't want, no, it can't do that without you having done research and you find out definitively, no, it can't do that. Because this isn't based on our opinion. It's not based on our assumptions. It's based on fact. So even if you can't do the site, well, what's the next thing that you check on?
Importing, of course.
Importing what?
Yeah,
If it can't do the site,
the glide. Yeah, the glide.
no, I
But
said,
yeah, the glide.
Victor,
Yeah.
I said, if you cannot do the site, what's the next thing you check on?
Check on somebody who has done a similar implementation as
Check on,
site.
you check on whether it can be done page by page. You might not be able to go ahead and migrate and import an entire site, but you might be able to do a page by page, right, integration.
Mm.
And
Yes, yes.
is that what you might have to do? See, I'm telling you this, even though I shouldn't be telling you this, because you're supposed to think about how to go ahead and do things. Okay? It's not a question of how I would always do it initially. It's how you are going to explore doing it based upon your research and analysis. You understand that? But now I'm telling you because you're not going to that level yet. Okay. And we spent enough time where we need to complete this so that you can actually do other things. So the thing is that you can find the right AI program that's a coding program, and you can see if it could make the transition from how it's done in Glide to how it needs to be done in order to be imported into Apollo, Adalo, and to be, to be viable. So, in other words, you can research these things. Can I do the site? Can I do a page? Is there an AI coding, right, that can go ahead and give me the, the revisions I need to have it be, imported and uploaded successfully. So there's multiple ways that you would check on to see whether which is viable before going ahead and doing it hand by hand, manually.
Yeah, Mr. Benjamin, like as you can see, Adalo is not open source. Adalo is private, so most of its resources, it's most secretively, it's only within that community, and that community is not a very big community. Per se, like for example, if you're using Flutter or you're using this other Flutter Dart, it's the another alternative that it's more used, and it's open source. It does a lot of features, a lot of integrations. So focusing on
So
Adalo,
the question is,
yeah.
right? Did we build this in the wrong app? In other words, as the base, should we be using something that's template driven that uses Flutter, which gives you more options?
I can agree and disagree because so far I've done a lot. I've done a lot on the learning curve for Dalo. I've overcome the learning curve, which
It,
takes
it,
like maybe
it,
a week or two.
it's
So
not
now, yeah.
that's not the criteria, Victor. It's not a question of, it's not about you. Why is it about you? It's not about me also. You got to start thinking about what's good, right, for the organization and the users, right? Isn't that the case?
Yeah, that's the higher picture. Yeah, that's a bigger
Well,
picture.
isn't that your picture supposed to be in management and leadership? You're making
Ah,
this
because
about you as the worker.
no, you're pushing my thoughts in a certain direction that um it, it's being stretched more and more and more. So I have to have a view on that aspect. No, I haven't led like a whole entire organization. Maybe a team of 10 people, 20, 50, maybe just a project, but I was under supervision. So I wasn't like I didn't take like the mantle of the entire like the CEO or the CTO, but I've been like managerial, maybe supervision,
Okay.
manager, like a sense, but not I haven't. Yeah, see, like my thinking has all been like in the CEO. See, yeah.
So the thing is, now that you see that you should look at things a little differently, okay, if you're given a choice right now, how do you make the determination? Do we go in a different direction where we have more flexibility? Or do we continue with Adalo? And what are the pros and cons of each? And if we go in a different direction, what's actually required of us in order to get the app functional and available on the different platforms like Apple Play and Google Store or whatever it is. Okay. I hope you're making notes, because that's what you're going to go ahead and have to research. And then the question is, go back to where all this started. In other words, you're doing this manually, which takes a lot of time. Okay. Is there a way where we can go ahead and convert the existing Glide application into HTML or coding, where then we can tie it into Flutter, and then have a app that we can tweak in order to work. And whatever answer you come up with, you actually have to test. You don't just scrap this and go into it. You've got to test it. So you've got to be able to go ahead and download a page, right, from Glide, or capture a coding page from Glide, and then convert it into, right, code that can be used in Flutter. Okay. And then we upload it back into, HTML program that can display properly, so we can see whether it works. But you'd also research, what are the steps necessary to do this, and how do we test it and troubleshoot? And you create a step-by-step evaluation, or a step-by-step process in order to do it. So the point is that, getting back to what made me decide to go ahead and create the Pomoro system, is because it doesn't matter what field you come from, most people are never taught or never know how to project manage effectively. So I developed a system a long time ago, right, in order to do it, and then I codified it in order to be able to teach it better. So you've got to put aside your feelings about, oh my God, I spent all this time doing Adalo, and now we're considering something else. Oh my God, my world is ending. No, that's sometimes what happens in business. And the thing is, you learned a lot in the process of doing this, whether you realize it or not. So whether it continues or whether we switch to something else, you just got to use that as a learning opportunity, because that's what you're here to do. You just got to do more of it. So tell me what you think.
Yeah.
Tell me what you think about what I said.
As usual, you're a truthful man. Like you're cold with the truth. You give it in full doses. No small dose, small dose. You give it in full doses. So I agree with what you're saying in its entirety, and your way of thinking is a bit more deeper than us. Than it's a bit more deeper. It's not like, okay, even me, I'm a thoughtful guy. I do deep thinking. I do analyze the situation, but I haven't structured it in a way that it is consistently bringing results. So I thank you also for the opportunity. I've learned a lot. I've really learned a lot, and to use this no code development, and it's basically like project management. It's not it's a simplified project management of software. So it's a step, like it's a step. I've improved, and I thank you for the opportunity.
And
Yeah.
someone just came out, I forget who it was, who said that within 5 years, 95% of all the coding is going to be people who code those jobs are going to be eliminated.
True.
95%.
True.
So the thing is, right, you don't need to study code. You need to study how to go ahead and get viable, right, coding done to achieve objectives. In other words, right, you need to do the thinking for the AI so that they can build it and that you can check what they've done and make sure it meets the requirements of the organization. That's management. That's not worker coding. Do you see that?
I see it. I see it. Like the AI has become the worker, so the job that's left is for management.
Yes, because right, workers sometimes don't go down the right path. So they need guidance on the right path.
Yeah.
You just can't hold the AI accountable. That's the only problem. Okay. So the thing is, what I want to see from you in the next 2 days is you reaching out to the sources that we talked about, you doing posting, you doing analysis on the information that comes back, and then you doing recommendations as to which way we go and why.
So what about the Dalo project? Like the app, as I continue as it is, still continue with it, or I do the research.
Yes, while you're waiting to hear back on the research. Yes, you can continue on it because especially right if like the leaderboard is working and blah blah blah, concentrate on the Karma Club and the 4 achievements for the Karma Club and the leaderboard. Make sure that's 100% working.
The Karma Club is the entire app.
No, that's not correct. The entire app is planned acts of kindness or one planet, one people, depending on which way we're looking at it. The Karma Club is not the entire app. That's incorrect. I'm looking at your row 11 and it says the Karma Club.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Karma Club has nothing to do with, right, with rows. Well, I can't see because you just moved it. So go to your left again. It has nothing to do with the books, the courses, and most of those other programs. It has nothing to do with the campaigns and challenges. The Karma Club read the information that you're working on, and you won't make that statement to me ever again. Because the Karma Club is the 4 achievements that go into the activities that people do and how they level up and how they get recognition and rewards. And right, and that's through the leaderboard. So now we're going back full circle to what I had you work on initially that we thought was going to be done quicker. But we're doing the whole app, but you stopped working on the thing that was the core of what we wanted, is getting those things into place. So you can still have your profile, your next steps, your contact us, getting started. That can all go into a streamlined version of the app. And this app through Adalo can just be simply the Karma Club app. Whereas the other app, which has everything in it, is the Pack app or One Planet, One People app. Okay, so you understand that?
Yeah, I understand you're saying like the Karma Club should be like an app on its own, and the
That's what
Pack app
was
as
That was the original thing that we discussed you doing, was the Karma Club and the leaderboard as a standalone app, right, that we can modify for other, other organizations. That was the
Yeah,
original thing. And then
yeah,
somehow we added in, because of
every,
Glide
yeah.
is doing, where they're terminating, the app platform that we have our current app on. So we said, okay, let's expand this. But let's go back, finish those aspects of it relating to the Karma Club, how people log in, how they save, right? How they're represented on the leaderboard. Let's concentrate on that while you research the other things. Okay, so that should
And also,
that,
if I can say
that should
something,
simplify it, Victor.
yeah,
That should
yeah.
simplify it for you. Okay, so go ahead. What are you
I,
going to say?
I agree with you entirely. If I can say, like, the way we the first, yeah, okay, the first thing we discussed was, yeah, the Kama Club to be the Kama Club on its own as an app. Then we changed, the direction of the development and decided to go the way that we copy it. Yeah, just what you have said, just exactly what you have said. So I think that was the best decision we made, because um as a Kama Club, as a single, like, only secluding the Kama Club from the Park Up, like, it didn't benefit. Okay, let me go back to my worker self for a few minutes. It didn't benefit me because as I did these other pages, I learned more skills. I learned more ways to manipulate the data and to present the data using these other pages, other programs, the challenges, the work. It helped me gain more experience in the dollar platform, so that I can implement the Kama Club even better than, let's say, if I did it at a shorter time.
Okay,
So I would say that was the benefit I got, yeah.
that's good. And
From
the other
yeah,
thing, whether you realize it or not,
yes.
the other thing is that when you
Mhm.
go to do this in other platforms, you'll have a lot more experience so that you can do it much more quickly. The learning curve is going to be much shorter for you. The more times you go ahead and get exposure in programs that are not the same over and over and over again, right? The more you improve overall in your performance.
Yes, improvement. I've improved drastically, not even drastically.
Good. So let's get the answers to those other questions, okay, about Adalo, and then we can move forward on how we want to do it for the for the future. But in the meantime, let's get this thing cut down to, you don't have to remove anything right now. Just go forward with, right, the initial part that you have in red, right? Because you got to have people doing their profile, next step, contact us, getting started, right? And open
Mhm.
letter. All those things have to be done in addition to the Karma Club, okay? And then I can work on, once you get the framework all put in and the data put in, then I can work on looking at it and making, suggestions, not making suggestions, telling you how we need to revise it. Okay. And it's not only a question of what you put in that may need to be revised in some way, but because we're doing it as a standalone, we might have to rewrite some of the material. We might have to have some additional, right, graphics and whatnot in order to go ahead and work that way. So, but that's not a problem. That's done after everything else and the functionality is working. Okay. So work on that, work on the functionality. Meanwhile, put out your queries, right, into those areas that I talked about. And then, as you're waiting for the responses, continue with this. Okay. Is that a good course of action?
It is, but you have rusty explanation. Too fast on a Zoom call.
I'll go ahead and send you the recording.
Yeah.
But you've got to learn to also take notes during meetings so that you're not only listening, you're taking notes and you're processing the information. Okay. I just got off a call with a woman, right, who has a 5 years experience in data analysis, right, wants to do an internship with us. She's got a master's degree. And at the end of the conversation, she said, I have 2 questions. So I said, certainly. So she asked the first question, and I said, excuse me, I already answered that question. Okay. And then she started to restate what she wanted to ask. And I said, it's the same answer that I gave you 2 minutes ago. So the thing is, communication is not just you going ahead and asking what you want to ask. It's actively listening and internalizing what other people are saying. Because you're going to get into meetings with coworkers, management, and clients. And if you do this, you're not going to be effective at your work. So she said, oh, okay. Oh, yes. And then she said, I said, what is your second question? She asked her second question. And I said, excuse me, I already answered that question also. And I answered it at the end of our conversation, right before you asked your first question, which tells me that you're not actively listening to what I'm talking about. So then I had a discussion about this with her. And she said, oh, yes, I'll do better. Then her next step was to email me, not email, was to text me through WhatsApp, right? Her name, her background, blah, blah, blah. She wants to intern and what her schedule for working with the organization is in a spreadsheet form. So you know what she did? You know what she did?
No. I'm waiting to hear.
She only texted in her name, her field, and when she wanted to start her internship. She didn't send me her schedule, and she didn't send it in a spreadsheet. So I had to reply to her. Okay, what we discussed was you submitting your, and then I said, please do so. And then she did. And the thing is that I use the information that they submit not only to make sure that they have the schedule that they need to be successful, but how they go ahead and organize their spreadsheet, how they set it up, and whether they do it logically or they just do it haphazardly, right, where it doesn't give the information in a professional manner. So I get to see how logical they are and how acclimated they are to doing things professionally, business-wise. So that's my base starting point with people.
Spreadsheet.
Of course. That's how you manage your work. So the thing is that, I already know that even though this person has 5 years experience working and has a master's degree, there's a heck of a lot that they don't know how to go ahead and handle properly, and they're not management or leadership material yet. They're still approaching things like workers. And that's what our system is designed to go ahead and counteract. Okay. So I will get you the email, or I will get you, not the email. I'm sorry, I'm saying email a lot. I will get you the video on this so you can review it, so that you can make up your list of steps that you need to do effectively. Okay. Meanwhile, continue working on the app, please. Okay. And then let's talk again Wednesday, where you can show me both the app and also how you did your research into the questions that we just talked about. Okay.
On Wednesday.
If we continue,
Wednesday.
if we continue to use, Adalo, that's fine, right? For now, especially if it can do the Karma Club effectively. Okay. So let's concentrate on that and let's get that going. Okay. We've had almost, I've got to run. I've got another meeting, but very good. And, you said before that you were tied up for the last, couple of weeks, right? So that's why I didn't ask you for meetings. But now that you're untied, I will ask you for more meetings so that we can move forward.
I have like up to the end of the month, 30th. I have like a 15 days from 15th this month up to 30th. At least I'll be available. Still, like, this job is a bit, sometimes it's a bit, how can I say, daunting. It requires some attention sometimes.
Of course. So that means that you can do some work when you're not on the job. Bye, Victor. Talk to you later. I'm waving because you can't see me. I'm waving. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll talk to you.
Bye. Bye.
Okay.
And the competition. I wanted to know about the competition.
I'm not talking about the competition now. Okay. Not talking about the competition. The competition isn't open yet. Okay. Competition will be open in, as it said in the video, June 1st is when the competition's open. So you'll see the material when it's prepared and done. And right, there's something else that you said, which I will not talk about right now. Okay. But okay, but we'll address it later on next month.
Why next month? Like these promoters, Essential 8 and the Smart, the more I am up to speed with this, the better for me. The better for me, because you talk so highly about it. You talk so highly about it. You have so much, the way you say it, you have so much confidence. It's how you present it, like you say. You have so much confidence when you say the promote system, the Essential 8. Yeah, you say like you know how to be, like, those words have some backing to it. So you have some confidence. So I wanted to know, like, why this system? Why this? Because there are very many systems. There are very many, but why this system? That was my question. Why this system?
Well, keep using it and you'll figure it out.
But goodbye, no problem.
Bye. Keep using it, you'll figure it out. Bye.
Okay.